it's about music business models, how you can use the business model canvas so you can translate your business into a tangible one sheet of paper where you can see all the elements on it.
Welcome to the Music Business Facts Podcast, where successful music industry experts share their industry secrets that will help you take your music career to the next level.
Hello and welcome to the Music Business Facts Podcast. I'm Rodney Holder, and it's my mission to, as best as possible, try and discover the intricacies and realities of how to monetize your passion for the music business. So whether you're a songwriter or a performer or a manager or an agent or a promoter or a publisher, or you run a label or any other entrepreneurial venture where you're trying to commercially succeed in and around the music business, or perhaps you're a student of the music business, then this is the podcast absolutely for you. I've made this show for you, so welcome. And this episode of Music Business Facts is proudly brought to you by Audible. Guys, if you love listening to audio content, and obviously you do because you're listening to me now, then you should check out Audible, as they have an amazing array of excellent audiobooks. And if you'd like an audiobook for free, you can actually sign up for a 30-day free trial at mbfbook.com. So go to mbfbook.com and sign up for a 30-day free trial with Audible and receive a free audiobook. I've actually taken up the offer myself because I generally hate the radio and I love listening to audiobooks when I'm driving in my car. It's my continuous self-development ritual. And right now I'm listening to a really inspiring book titled Deep Work by Cal Newport, and I'm really digging it and I'd totally recommend it. So yes, check out the offer at mbfbook.com and get your free audiobook today. Okay, today's guest on the show is a music business expert, and his name is Tommy Darker. Tommy Darker is a Greek and London-based musician and entrepreneur. He's a musicpreneur, which is a term that Tommy is often credited for making popular. And like me, Tommy is also a music business lecturer. Tommy lectures in music business studies at the University of Westminster in the UK, and he obviously knows his stuff. And Tommy's also got some really cool free resources over at his website over at tommydarker.com. So I'd encourage you to go over and check it out. There's marketing plans and business model case studies and a variety of great stuff. It's all free. So again, you can go check out Tommy's stuff at tommydarker.com and grab those quality freebies. Anyhow, in this episode, I did have a great chat with Tommy where we discuss a number of interesting things and hopefully a number of great takeaways for you guys, including things like business models, marketing strategies, goal setting, music education, and a whole array of really cool stuff. So I really do hope you enjoy our conversation as much as I enjoyed conducting it. And I'm going to get straight into it. So without further ado, here's my chat with music entrepreneur or musicpreneur, Tommy Darker. Please enjoy. Ladies and gentlemen, my guest today is Mr. Tommy Darker. He's a Greek and London-based music entrepreneur and musician, and he likes to call himself a musicpreneur, and he's been quoted as being one of the guys that's made that term famous, so we'll get into that. But Tommy Darker, welcome to the show. Thanks so much for your time.
Hello, thank you very much for having me. I'm looking forward to a very interesting discussion.
Excellent, mate. Well, I always like to start off my interviews, Tommy, just by getting my guests to tell my listeners a little bit about yourself personally and then about what you're doing in the music industry. So let's go, mate. Let's hear about what you're up to.
Okay, so my story goes like this. I used to be in the army for 7 years, and then I quit 5 years ago to establish myself as a music entrepreneur, a musicpreneur, as I call it. And 5 years later, today, I'm an academic, so I'm teaching in a couple of universities about music business. I'm also a musician who, at the moment, we're creating a new style of music and we're creating a documentary about it to be broadcasted on TV next year, 2018. And also, I'm an entrepreneur. I've been organizing music-related events around music education for 4.5 years now in 5 countries around the world. And recently, we launched our latest startup, a music education startup called Musicpreneur Hub, where it's a place where you can ask questions and we connect these questions with experts all over the world so you can receive credible answers for free.
Very, very interesting. And looking at your bio, we've got, apart from our haircuts, we've got a lot of other things in common. So it's really good to talk to you. I'm looking forward to shooting the breeze because, like you, I I call myself an ex-musician because I'm not really doing it too much these days, but I'm certainly lecturing every day, and I'm also doing a lot of musical business entrepreneurial ventures. So I'm looking forward to, and we will get into your stuff, obviously. But before we start, tell us a little bit about you were in the army with NATO, is that right?
Yeah, that's correct. I used to work for NATO for 3 years, and I was head of security in the headquarters of NATO by the age of 25.
Wow.
Now, I was feeling like an imposter there. Hey, you are the kid that used to be quite irresponsible, and you joined the army so you can get better at this and get more disciplined. Yeah. And eventually, you end up, 5 years later, you end up being head of security in NATO. Is there anything wrong with that? Or anything wrong with the world for trusting you? But here we go. Yeah, I did survive. I was head of security. It was a great experience that taught me a lot about discipline. And that is, I think, the biggest lesson that I got so far in terms of being an artist. Yep. I can be disciplined to get work done and stick to the plan. So eventually I can beat my perfectionism and deliver something of artistic or commercial and entrepreneurial nature, which is very important.
Yeah.
So thank the army for all the great work that I'm doing right now.
Yeah, no, there's a couple of things there. Like you're talking about perfectionism. I find that a lot of musicians, that kind of, it holds them back, doesn't it? Because they're waiting for something to be perfect. And of course, there's no such thing as perfect. You can never, in my opinion, achieve perfectionism.
Yeah, I call it procrastination. I don't call it perfectionism. It's just another excuse for you not shipping, not delivering what you've been creating. You expect for the perfect moment, and there's no perfect moment. There is always refinement. We can blame the culture, the commercial music culture of albums and singles and recorded music, because they're setting expectations that it needs to be recorded, it needs to be perfect, and then you put it out there, and then it's a final product. Well, if you check out the entrepreneurial world, there is refinements all the time. You can see the app, it's the 19.2.3 version of the app. It's something that is changing all the time. Mm-hmm. And I might be totally wrong, but a prediction is now that we start having access to music instead of owning music, the whole culture will start shifting. So I expect personally to see more like I think what Kendrick Lamar and what I think was Kanye West did with an album that was not complete and was up on Spotify and it was refined. And I think Kendrick Lamar was untitled, unmastered, and then things started appearing. So something like this can happen when you have access to music instead of owning and downloading the music. So maybe this will change the way of thinking in terms of what is a fully finished artistic product. Let's see. I believe that we'll start seeing music as a startup, as a startup that releases renewed versions of what they've put together in the future, but I might be wrong. Let's see. I'm looking forward to that if that's going to happen. Yeah, very interesting. So let's go back and let's talk about yourself as the educator. First of all, you're working at the University of Westminster. Yeah, that's correct.
I got to be honest, I don't know much about that university or that course. And tell us about the music business program. What type of things are you delivering there? It's a degree program, I imagine.
Yeah, so this is the first commercial music program in the UK. My university is a pretty historical one, and we're trying to set the boundaries and stretch them in terms of commercial music and how students think. So I'm very proud to be a part of this university. I've been lecturing there for the last 3 years. And on the same time, in 2015, I was lecturing at Berklee College of Music in Valencia, the master's program. And I was also teaching music business to contemporary music performers. And what I've seen, the interesting thing is like a pattern. The performers, they want to just perform. And it's quite interesting trying to teach them how to think in terms of an entrepreneur, because there is a lot of resistance, and probably it's even bigger resistance than them beating their perfectionism. Trying to put a commercial value on their product and trying to sell it. It's something that most people don't like doing. But anyway, this is what I've observed. My role is, I see as my role being less than an educator in terms of knowledge delivery, and more as a psychologist in terms of allowing them to have the right mindset to accept entrepreneurship. Because after that, all the knowledge they want is online. You can Google stuff once you have a direction, and once you have somebody supporting you as a mentor, you can find anything you want online. So that's another trend that I see happening. I don't believe that in the future educational institutions will give purely knowledge. They will give, let's say, 30 or 40% of knowledge, but then the rest will be framework and guidance in the real world. And that's what I'm trying to pioneer with my own startup as well.
Yeah, that's already happening with my music business course here in Australia. I'm curious, studying at the University of Westminster, is that an expensive venture? Here in Australia? Education is really quite expensive.
What's the price tag for Australia?
So a one-year diploma is about $16,000, and a university degree, depending on which institution's delivering it, can be up to $50,000-$60,000.
Oh, right. So is that US dollars?
No, Australian dollars.
Okay, so what's the equivalent of US dollars?
Well, you can add about 20% onto Australian dollars for us for US. So
okay, right. Yeah. Okay, so I think more or less the same thing. We have courses from £9,000 a year to £13,000 a year. If you're coming from abroad, from another continent, it's more expensive.
Sure.
But more or less, that's the equivalent of $12,000 or $13,000 for my university.
Yeah.
Right. But there is more expensive universities. But I don't think there is anything that is close to $50,000. I think that's probably the US or Australia.
Yeah.
That we're talking about. In the UK, education is a little bit more affordable. It's still expensive, but more affordable compared to the US. Yeah,
I mean, it's expensive here, and the government chips in and gives loans and stuff, but at the end of the day, the students have to pay it back. I'm wondering what percentage of your students would get their award and then go out and get jobs, do you think? Do you have any idea?
Well, in my university, we're privileged enough to have one of the highest ratings. I think it's more than 85% of people getting a job straight away or within 6 months. So we're honoured to be one of the top universities in the UK and less.
Awesome.
And our reputation was always on getting our students to work straight away.
Okay, and what sort of jobs are they getting? Are they working in orchestras or for theatre or?
Not really. It's commercial music. So we have either musicians getting a contract with a label or a licensing management company, or music business students getting an A&R position or working for labels like Universal in whatever department their expertise is in. But usually we have musicians and music industry students getting a job in a startup or an institution or in any big corporation around music. So this way, even if this might not be their final direction, their final path of their career, they're getting a lot of experience and they're getting started with the real world, which is very important.
Yeah, that's very, very cool. And obviously you and I have a vested interest in our educational institutions because, we're getting paid by them. And I'm very proud of mine as well because I always talk to my students that, doing my course, you're definitely going to learn in a fast-track way. You're going to be able to, learn stuff without making the mistakes, which a lot of musicians, in my experience, do when they're making it by trial and error. But I guess I'm trying to get to the point. Do you think, anyone listening to this, what sort of person do you think needs to go and do formal education as opposed to maybe doing a mastermind group or getting a mentor or a short course or online course?
Right. What a terrific question, and what a wrong person to ask this question to. Because I cannot be objective about this. I cannot really give advice. I can only tell people what I'm doing.
Yeah,
so
sure.
Right now, I'm teaching in a university. I have no degree in anything whatsoever. I'm making music. I don't know how to play any instrument or how to read notation. At the moment, I'm doing everything by ear, by experience, and by getting things done in the real world. And usually, I outsource things to other people. For example, my bands and the people that play the instruments in my albums, they are great instrumentalists, so they do that. Personally, I just compose the music and then I sing because that's the thing that I'm best at, and I'm still crap at that. But in general, I don't have any certificates. So how could I tell people go for formal education, right? If I were to have £10,000, $13,000, I would spend that, and just for education, right? I would spend that on every short online course that I could find interesting.
Yeah.
And then I would make sure that I have enough time to put everything in practice and learn practically from that. And I'm pretty sure that money would last for at least 5 years, if I was to take a course every 3 months. But yeah, that's what I would suggest to people. You have all these opportunities to get specific courses on specific topics and then practice all that in the real world, that I wouldn't really spend it on a formal course, despite me being a lecturer in a formal course, right, in a university course.
Yep.
But I would just prefer flexibility. Now, on the other side, somebody's going to tell me, hey, but in the university you get the experience and you also get direction and also you get a framework, and you just need to do the work. You don't need to put everything in place. Yeah, and that's true. If you're the kind of person that wants things to be in order and then you just follow instructions, that's fine. Then definitely go for an official university course. If, on the other hand, you are just like me, you have a direction, you like putting pieces together, and you just find the right online course, and then you button it, you add it on your Lego kind of puzzle, as the next thing to do, then go for that. That's what I like doing. Finding the right course for me and then paying for that, which is usually way cheaper than an official university course.
Yeah, sure. And, again, I would not ever talk down my course because, like I said, I'm proud of it. But I think the people that do my course, it's definitely a fast track of what they get of the information. So, they can sort of cram the information into a 12-month period. And so they should, because they're paying a premium for it. And I also think if you want to ever be a teacher, I think that's formal education is the way to go. But if your Facebook feed's anything like mine, Tommy, there's just seemingly someone new every day coming up who's an expert about music business, and they've got the formula to teach you how to do this and that. And are you seeing the same sort of thing?
Well, I have an ad blocker, so I don't see a lot of that. But definitely, yeah, there's still ads popping up, and it's interesting. I haven't taken any classes like this because I'm skeptical when it comes to promising success in the music industry, and I know that whatever success I had, there's a lot of work, and definitely I wouldn't really say that a simple course has caused me to get all the success that I had. There is a lot of trial and error, and things are changing all the time. Yep. So even if I get a course, usually this is my problem. Usually they focus on the tools, and they focus on the next platform to use, whether this is YouTube or Facebook. And then once the platform is changing the algorithm, then everything is gone. Everything you've learned to use on the tool is gone. So in my opinion, the education should be about the framework and the mindset, and to get people out there to get stuff done and get first-hand experience on how things are done today. Yep. And if you keep doing things, you never run out of ideas, and you're always at the verge of innovation because you know practically what's happening. So that's what I would suggest. If there is a course, online courses around the music industry are not bad. By all means, they're great information. But if it's a course about a tool, then I would always be skeptical, because the tool changes, and then all the knowledge you got and you've paid a lot probably for, then this is all gone as well.
Yeah, totally. I totally agree with you with everything you said there. And I'd just like to add too, if whatever study you ever do, I think it's important that you also do a lot of research on who's actually delivering the content, creating the content, delivering that, because there are a few charlatans out there. And again, it's in some cases quite a big investment. I'm interested, Tommy, and this is a very generalised question, but what type of stuff are you teaching your students? What are some of the topics and lectures that you're delivering? I know that I've got some of my own favourite lectures. I love the ones on understanding copyright and music publishing and negotiation techniques. What are some of the things that you're talking to your kids about?
Yeah, I think there is 4 or 5 topics that I'm specializing in. Mm-hmm. The first one, the big one, is about music business models. Yeah. And I've written a very detailed essay which has been downloaded many times. It's being taught in Berklee College of Music, in Full Sail in America, in my university, and many other mini courses. We had a massive online open course which had around 2,000 students around the world, and we delivered that thing as well. So it's about music business models, how you can use the business model canvas so you can translate your business into a tangible one sheet of paper where you can see all the elements on it. So this is what I'm teaching primarily, and I have case studies, a lot of experience on that, because that's a tool I've been using since I got started with the music industry as a musician. So number 1 is this. Number 2 is Lean Startup. Is Eric Ries's book about how you become agile and how you deliver content and how you validate your product and how you make revenue by learning all the time, which goes against being a perfectionist. So if you start thinking as a startup that releases content and products all the time, and you validate and you find ways to talk about it according to your customers' feedback and their needs, then eventually you start perfecting your product as it goes. And you need to be agile with that. So I'm teaching that, and that's the most difficult part. Putting everything in one sheet that makes sense for you is something that people enjoy because it's boxes, and then you need to add stuff in the boxes that are personal to you. But when it comes to the ongoing process of releasing something and then getting feedback and having interaction with the audience, which might include criticism as well, that whole thing is difficult for musicians. And that's why I said I play psychologist sometimes, just being there to support, like, this, what happened is okay. You're good. What you're doing is great. Just keep doing it. You're on the right track. So sometimes people want to hear that. So this is the second thing that I'm teaching. I'm also teaching a lot about networking because it's something that I'm really proud of. I'm pretty good in forming relationships with people and finding how I can benefit them and how they can benefit me back. And I'm pretty good, and I'm extrovert in terms of communication. I love talking with people. And I'm teaching techniques on how you can approach people, how you can have campaigns where you identify the right people to talk with, and how you form relationships with them. Because whether we like it or not, the product is one thing, but then the relationships we have in the music industry is another thing, which is massively important for success. So I'm teaching that. And then there is smaller topics that I'm teaching about, which, but I'd rather say these three are the big ones that I'm teaching at the moment. There is also mindset, entrepreneurial tactics. I'm teaching less and less about tools because, as I said before, I don't believe in the tools. I believe we're hiring tools to get our work done, but we need to know what work we need to get done first.
I love that. That's brilliant. Look, let's go back. There's a couple of things I'd like to ask you. I totally agree with you with the networking. It is just so important. It's, there's that old adage, it's not what you know, it's who you know. And whilst I don't think that's always the case, it very often is, in my opinion. There's a question I often get asked, and I have a real trouble answering that for my students. So as another lecturer, from one lecturer to another, I'd like to know your answer. What do you say to the absolute introvert that just goes, I am shit scared and I don't know how to do it? Because the best that I can come up with is that, look, you just have to get over it. You just have to understand that this is really, really important, and you have to put yourself out there, be confident in your in who you are, and be authentic and stuff. But that's my advice. And sometimes when I say that, I kind of feel bad. And what do you think for introverts? Any networking tips?
Yeah, I have a specific advice that I give to people, and it has worked. So this might work for your students as well. So I give them actually two pieces of advice. Number one piece of advice, get an assistant. Get a person that will do the talking for you.
Wow.
Get somebody that you trust to actually be the voice of yours. For example, there is bands that don't show their identity. One of my favorite ones is Ghost.
Yep.
The metal band, the doom metal band from Sweden. Mm-hmm. You know them because you're wearing a T-shirt of Cannibal Corpse. So Ghost, if you check out the social media, when they have an announcement, they write something like a message from the clergy, which means that this is our management company making an official announcement.
Yep.
But then if it's a personal message, it's a personal message. At the end, there is a nameless goal. So these things shows that, hey, there is an official voice, there's somebody else, and we call it clergy, which is brilliant. So this is the messenger. But when it's somebody else, we hide our identity, we add our nameless goal thing. So this is a way to get things done. You find somebody you trust, it could be your manager, it could be any assistant, somebody that you outsource work to, but they deliver the messages for you. They are the spokespeople for you.
Okay.
Any comment to that?
Yeah, sure. Look, I'm thinking of not just one person in particular. Every year when I deliver this, there's always one or two, but. And I agree, that's great. That Ghost example is good. But what about the 17-year-old girl straight out of school that's attending a music industry conference and just doesn't? Ooh. When I say, look, you've got to be able to go up to people and say good day and network face to face and just talk to people.
Well, I would ask her, why the hell would you like to go on a conference if you're not ready to talk with people? That's why people are there. They're there to form relationships. And everybody in the conference, they're ready for business. Yep. It's like LinkedIn in real life. So you go there to meet people to get shit done.
Yep.
So that's what I would ask them. I would just question their intention for getting the conference in the first place. And if they're 17 years old, I would tell them, just go with your parents. Just don't go alone. That's what I would tell them. Especially, I know from my students at Berkeley, they're encouraged to go in music conferences by Berkeley, and they get discounts, and they get that because it's good for them.
Yeah,
and there is a lot of them that just go and they don't meet anybody because they're introverts. But there is peer pressure that you should be there, you should go there. And I would just go against that pressure. I would tell them, ask yourself, why do you want to be there? If there's no purpose, if it's just because everybody else is doing it, then don't just do it. If you don't feel ready and you feel it's going to do more harm than good to be there, don't do that. But it's always good to know people. If you actually believe that you're shy and that's a weakness, then beat your weakness. Go there and try your best to talk with everybody. Challenge yourself.
Yep.
If you like who you are, if you like being an introvert, if you like being anonymous, if you like not being the forefront of what you're creating, get a spokesperson to do stuff for you. Or the second piece of advice is get a mentor. Get a person that will give you advice on how you should do things, somebody that is more experienced than you are. And this way, they will give you better advice. And I'm pretty sure I'm not the right person to give advice on these kind of topics because I was never a mentor on how you can beat your introvert nature, but somebody else might be. So find the right person to help you that will empathize with your situation and that will help you beat it. Somebody that was probably next introvert. So that's my two pieces of advice. Number one, get somebody else to do the speaking for you. They can be your voice. And then number two, get a mentor to give you advice in everything that you're doing. So this way you can achieve your goal, whatever this might be.
Okay, cool. We'll move on. You mentioned some of the materials that you give away on your website, and I've had a look at a couple of them, and they're really good. I would encourage any listeners to go over to tommydarker.com and check them out. Join up on your mailing list and receive this free thing. So that's really good stuff, and they're all real case studies, which I really like. They come across as really authentic and very helpful.
Yes.
So that's fantastic. You talked about business models. What sort of business models are you seeing, Tommy? Other than obviously the merchandise and the physical and the streaming, is there any other that you could maybe enlighten some of our listeners that you see are working or that are likely to be working in the future? Things to concentrate on.
Yeah, there is a few business models. If you go and check out my business model case study and archetypes book, then you will find a lot of tangible case studies on different systems that people use. But my favorite one, I would say, is the patronage one, the one where you get your followers to become your patrons and support you. There is this platform that is getting really big, and they're changing the culture of the audience, which is called Patreon. And it derives from the old times where the big patrons would just give shitload of money to Mozart and other classical players to deliver their art. And eventually, right now, what the concept is that a lot of people, not just one person, a lot of people give small amounts of money that will eventually create a large sum so that the creator can keep creating. And this way, by giving $1 to $15 to $30 to $100, and there is a friend of mine who has somebody that gives $250 per month for her creations. This way you start having a monthly budget for your creations. This is a great model because if you have 1,000 people giving $1, in my opinion, it's better than one person giving $1,000 per month for your art. Because if you lose that one person, you've lost 100% of your income. But if you lose 10% of your 1,000 people, you still have 90% left. So what I would encourage is, and I see there's a lot of there's bright future there, that musicians develop a relationship with their audience, and then they would ask straight away for support. Because this way, small amounts of money might lead to have a great impact for the artist, because the sum is good enough for the artist to pay rent and to just have peace of mind to keep creating stuff. And then on top of that, the artist can keep releasing stuff under payment or having merch or playing live performances. So this is just another business model. Again, it has to do with how you're thinking. Personally, my business model is called the ecosystem, where I have multiple projects. A few of them are free, and they they drive people to a few main projects that are optimized to make profit. So you will see this a case study of this brilliant woman living in the UK that has multiple projects, and they all have different USP, and they have their own audience, but all of them lead towards her personal brand where she makes money from. Mm-hmm. And this way you can create, like Google, you can create a lot of tools that are used for free, but this way you hook people into your ecosystem.
Yep.
And then if you have a compelling offer, something you've optimized to make money, all these people that came in for free for various reasons, they see these offers. And if you know why they're there because of this offer and the other offer, you know what to offer them in terms of a paid product. So you kind of segmented your fan base into buckets of what they're interested in. There's a lot of try and error, again, to create this ecosystem. There is a lot of work. But once you've put it together, you hook people in. Because they might come for one thing, and then they might realize they're interested in the other 4 things that you're having. So all of a sudden, they become your fans because you give terrific value from multiple angles.
Yeah, no, look, I love all that. And Patreon, I've talked about that on the show a lot, and there's a high-profile Australian metal band here that's done very well on Patreon. I think they're making about $10,000 US a month with their fans.
Wow, that's great.
Yeah, they're doing really well, and the interesting thing with those guys too is that they were very heavily criticised by a lot of sort of competitor bands who didn't, I guess, understand the platform or the model or what they were doing, but their fans certainly embraced them. And if Neo Bliviscaris, if you want to use another case study to show some of your students, I'd recommend that. And also Jack Conti, the guy who started Patreon, I've tried to get him on the show plenty of times, so I'll still be trying. Have you spoken to him?
Yes, I spoke to him on Skype once, but then I realized that he's too busy.
Yeah.
So 10 minutes in the call, I told him, mate, I'd rather let you go back to work. I just want to meet you and get started with the conversation. We'll talk another time when I have a tangible proposal or offer. I see you're totally busy. So Thanks for finding time for that. And then I let him go, although it was like half an hour call.
Yeah, sure.
So he's super busy.
No, I'd love to speak to him one day. But what I suppose... the only thing I saw that was missing in what you talked about there in those models is that I see a lot of young artists and they're very impatient, and they, you can't do a Patreon campaign or you can't do a crowdfunding campaign successfully, in my opinion, unless you have a crowd. So I think the precursor to everything that you're talking about is, and what I talk about with younger artists and younger musicians, is the importance of actually trying to build your tribe in the first place before you try and monetize. And I think a lot of things that I see with my students is that they try the monetization models before they actually have a fan base to support it. So I don't know if you see that, or if your students maybe are already at a higher level when you get them. I'm not sure.
Yeah. This is a symptom of the lack of entrepreneurial mindset, because first of all, you need to have an offer, something that people want. Then you connect this offer with an audience, and then the triangle gets completed with getting something in exchange for this offer from this audience.
Yep.
First of all, you need to, what everybody says, create great music. But this is not all there is. An offer is not just music, because you're solving a need. So what I would say, if people take care of having a great answer for every corner of the triangle called VAR, value, audience, revenue, then you will have a business. That's the basis of every business. So first of all, we get started with thinking, what is the value that I offer? Not even the audience. What's the value that I offer? What kind of value do I provide with my music? There is a great example, which I love, and people are making money with this, and that's terrific. There's no exposure about this. People create music, and then they upload it on YouTube. It's an hour-long playlist of their own music or a compilation of other tracks, and they call it 1 hour relaxing music for studying. And the terrific thing behind it is that it solves a need. It says, here is some music for you to study with. Mm-hmm. It gets you in the right mindset to study, which solves a problem. Some people, they cannot study, they cannot be concentrated. Here is some music with that. Right? Pop music is definitely not optimized for that. It's optimized for the opposite thing. It's to keep your attention and get you dancing or humming the rhythm. Mm-hmm. But again, there is different types of music. So if you want to sleep, there is this type of music. It's music. It's called ASMR. It's whispering and tickling and gentle sounds that makes people want to go to sleep. And I started thinking about doing this, and I'm going to do that myself, because one of my friends who has insomnia, she told me, your whisper is great. Have you thought about doing ASMR videos? And I thought, like, okay, what's that? And she said, you put people to sleep. And I was trying to think, my grandma in Greece, she's 80-something years old. And if she ever asks, like, what is my grandson doing in London? What could I tell her? I'm putting people to sleep? That would be really weird. But then I thought that's a problem that people have. They cannot sleep. And there is music that is kind of therapy for them. Mm-hmm. And then I was thinking, what kind of value does music on Spotify bring? The value they bring is portability. You can have access to music 24/7 by having your music on Spotify. And also, instead of thinking of an object that you're selling, you can start translating everything into value you're creating. For example, merchandise. You wear a t-shirt of Cannibal Corpse. Maybe there is dates on the back of the tour. Mm-hmm. And you got it probably because you want to remember that you were part of this tour.
That's right.
Otherwise, you wouldn't be wearing a t-shirt with dates that you've not been a part of.
Sure.
You want to remember I was there, right? So the need is memorabilia.
Yep. And
usually another big part is support. You want to feel that you are part of the creative process of the artists you love, so you support them. Mm-hmm. So here's an internal need that people are solving with Patreon. They make fans feel good. They don't necessarily do it because they want to get an exchange every month or a new song every month. They want to see their artist succeed. So if we translate, all in all, just what I want to say, if we translate the product into a problem solved or an emotional need fulfilled, then we've got something of value to bring. And then the product can change. And then we find the people that have this problem and they want to get it solved. And that's your audience. That's your audience. Some people might create hipster music because they want people that like new stuff and new and shiny stuff. And that's your audience. It might be agnostic in terms of age, but the demographic is people that want new, shiny stuff.
Sure.
And then the revenue stream is translating that value into a price tag and then seeing how many people are ready. You validate how many people are ready to pay that. And Skype, for example, we're having this conversation on Skype. Skype gets 95 of their users for free. They never pay. I've never paid for Skype. But then 5% of them pay for the services of Skype. And Google does the same. They give all this shit, tons of fuck tons of stuff for free. And then a small percentage pays, but they are the most profitable tech company in the world.
Yep.
And this is how musicians should also be thinking. The more niche you are, the more willing people are ready to pay for, because there's not a lot of people solving their needs. So yeah, all in all, it's called VAR, value, audience, revenue. Translate what you're offering in terms of value, problem solved, and emotional need fulfilled, and then find your audience that has this problem.
Cool, Tommy. There's some good stuff in there. Thanks so much, mate. That's very interesting. Hey, listen, for an artist that's, if they're cooking, they've got some good tunes and maybe the live show's good and the artwork's ready to go. What's your opinion on the traditional route of success versus going completely indie? Like, maybe it's genre specific, but are you still encouraging your students to shop to radio stations and record labels and music publishers and that kind of thing? Or are you take it on a case-by-case, scenario? What's your thoughts there?
Yeah, it's always a case-by-case scenario. I don't reject that route. Mm-hmm. It's something that it still makes sense for a lot of people.
Yep.
But what I encourage usually my students is that they should get out there and learn things first and get experience.
Yep.
And build something for themselves, prove themselves out there in the battle, and then use such services or companies or labels to scale up what they've already built in a small scale. So I usually tell them, if you cannot build a fan base or a mailing list even of 1,000 people that give you permission to get in touch with them and send them offers or news or free stuff, then I'm pretty sure you're not going to be ready to actually create a scalable business. And even if you get signed or have a management company or somebody that takes care of the business 100%, once they're gone, you rely 100% of them. So once they're gone, you don't have anything to show for yourself. You haven't learned anything, and you cannot make decisions yourself. The creative part, the commercial side, everything is in their own hands. Mm-hmm. So in a way, you're becoming a slave, and probably you're getting profit, but it's the same as working in a public sector. You delegate all the responsibility, all the decisions, all the next steps to somebody else, and you get the money. And that's not very artistic for me. So I would rather get started, have control of everything, find my own voice, have people that I communicate with regularly and engage with them so I can build a relationship, and then scale up through somebody that is doing that for a living. But they will know that you have already built something and it's something scalable.
Yep. No, look, I totally agree. There is a counter argument to that kind of thing you're talking about, though, where people say everything you just talked about takes a lot of energy, a lot of work, a lot of investment in time and money, perhaps. What about the what's your counter argument to the conversation that, you know, every time you're spending all of that energy and time building a business, you're taking away from the creative side, you're taking away from the songwriting, you're taking away from the rehearsals. Do you think it's just you've just got to find that balance and suck it up and work hard?
Oh gosh, yeah, that's the most difficult thing, actually. It's not to create all these things you talk about. It's about the balance.
Yep.
So yeah, I would say that, you know what, whatever you need to create for yourself, it's pretty hard. You need to spend time. You need to fight yourself and your insecurities and your fears and your lack of discipline. Sometimes procrastination is waiting for you in the next corner. So I would tell people, just go out there for the fight. It's an amazing experience trying to balance all these things. And personally, right now, I'm balancing my academic life, my entrepreneurial life, my artistic life, and my girlfriend. So the whole thing becomes very interesting because now it just feels organic. It's like a habit.
Yeah,
I can balance things. And the same thing, Jack Conte, and even people like Elon Musk. Yep. He manages 6 companies and he has vision for all of them. It's all about a matter of balancing yourself and being productive, minimizing the waste of time to the minimum. And you know what? If you're doing 6 things on the same time that are all meaningful, your life is the best life ever. You don't even think about time, because time, age, or something like this means nothing. If every day is well spent and you're creating value for other people around the world and you're creating meaningful stuff for yourself and you're having a business out of it, which takes a lot of work, but it's not impossible, you know what? That's the best life ever. So I would go for the hard way. I always reject easy money and stuff that will bring you short-term profit, but it doesn't bring fulfillment or it doesn't make sense in the long term. I always choose to suffer for the moment instead of having the easy way. But I'm learning so much, and then I own all this experience, and it's all mine. So that's what I would advise people. I will not try to find a counter argument just for the sake of being politically correct or just balancing things out in terms of an argument. I would go for what I truly believe in, and I would try to transmit my passion to these people to do something like this. You know, I like inspiring people. I don't try to bring and round the corners.
Sure. And look, you are inspiring, and I would say to you, like people like Elon Musk and Jack Conte, that you've kind of got like you're not normal. You're not average. You're above average, and I say that as a compliment. And I guess the point I'm trying to make is, and this is just a reality that I see because I've been teaching for a long time. I've had a lot of students, and I tell them this. I tell them flat out, but I say most of you don't work hard enough. Most of you don't have an understanding of what you actually have to do to make this become a reality. I mean, I'm sure you work a long day. I know I do. I was reading about Elon Musk and how he's running 2 companies and he literally works 80 hours a week, So I guess the point I'm trying to say, which sometimes gets left out of this conversation, is that I think some musicians, even really talented ones, they don't have the ability to focus and do that work ethic and implement the kind of stuff that you and I are talking about here. What are your thoughts on that?
It's a muscle. It's a muscle that you need to train. Discipline, that's what we're talking about, and beating procrastination and perfectionism. As I told you before in the beginning, I joined the army because I was a very irresponsible kid. I was the kid that would forget the keys on the door and leave the house. And then I would eventually meet my parents somewhere outside, and they would tell me, like, where were the keys? And then I would just look on the left. Oh, it's my best friend. Let me go and say hi. And then I would just run back home to get the keys out of the door. I was this kind of person. And I decided that I'm 18 years old. I cannot keep going like this. People say I'm smart. I had really good grades at school. But you know what? I need to be ready for the real world because it's harsh. So I joined the army. And that made me rock hard in terms of discipline. Not in terms of changing the character. I'm still an artist.
Yeah.
But discipline is what you're talking about.
Sure.
Balancing things out is all about discipline. And it's something that you're not born with. It's something that you train. So unless you're ready to create a habit of being disciplined and getting work done and trying to find solutions for your problems, you will have no chance to survive. You will be a mediocre person.
Yep.
So that's what I would say. It sounds harsh, but it's just the absolute reality.
Yeah, look, I agree. And I just see, maybe it's a maturity thing, because I deal with a lot of, 17, 18, 19, 20-year-olds, and they want it, they say, but, they're busy drinking or chasing members of, well, not necessarily the opposite sex, but you know what I mean? They're partying and not getting enough sleep and not eating right. And I was like that too. And it wasn't until I was later in my life that I could be more focused, So I just think that maybe some people, they're not cut out for that entrepreneurial or that musicpreneurial thing, maybe at the start of their career or even ever sometimes, So I just bring that up.
But the thing is that you don't usually go 100% in. You get started somehow. So what I would suggest is that people get started in a small scale. Mm-hmm. They start delivering small projects, like achieving something in 100 days. And this way you will have your first success story. And once you have the success story, you start believing that it's doable and you get confidence. That is not inspiration from a TEDx video. It's something that you've achieved. You own it. It's a lesson learned and earned. And this way, you know that you can make it happen. Right now, I know and I have confidence and I have no insecurities or fears because I've had enough success stories out of tons of failures because I was doing things. And I know that success is tangible. I can do this. Mm-hmm. I personally can do this. So that's why I keep going and I never get disappointed. Mm-hmm. There is ups and downs, but the more success stories you have, the more you believe that, you know what, let's see what I can learn from this failure and let's keep going.
Yep, definitely.
So you need to get started with something, and usually encourage people, set up a goal in 100 days and go for it. And you know what? Even if you don't achieve it, the whole journey of stretching your comfort zone in 100 days, that is terrific. That's a lesson for itself. That's the product that you've created, and that's all your experience.
Yep. Well, listen, we're going to talk about Musicpreneur Live, but before I do, I'm just going to try and squeeze out of you one last little bit of tangible knowledge from Tommy Darker, just to see. I'm just interested in your perspective.
Sure.
I'll give you a scenario. I've got a student at the moment, and he's very talented. He's written a really catchy pop song. Everyone who hears it goes, "Holy crap, that's amazing!" He's produced it himself in his bedroom. It sounds incredible. He's a good-looking kid. He's got the raw talent. He's got the attitude. He's got the work ethic. I think this guy is going to potentially be big. But he's just released this first track. What should he do with it? What's Tommy Darker's advice on? Put you on the spot, I know.
I don't know. The answer is 4. I don't know. Really, the possibilities are endless.
Yeah.
There's, especially when you've got a person that has all the whole potential by their side. Mm-hmm. It's even more difficult. If you told me, like, okay, the disadvantages are this and this and this and this and this, but here's the good side, this and this, then I would say go for these 2 things and be the best you can be at this one. Have focus. What I would tell them is, focus on something specific.
Yep.
What do you want to be known as? Do you want to be known as another good-looking pop guy? Mm-hmm. There's tons of them. Sorry, you cannot replace Justin Bieber. This cannot be your mission. So I would tell them, find your voice. Who are you? What do you want to do?
Yeah.
My personal example, I would inspire them with what I did.
Yep.
So when I first got started, and I was in Belgium, and I was still in the army, but I founded my own label, and we started recording music and releasing videos and playing live and taking part in competitions. And we actually got number 1 in Belgium in this competition, and we represented Belgium in Spain in a competition. We were making music like Depeche Mode, Joy Division, The Cure. That's the music that I liked. So I was imitating my idols. And eventually I realized when I went to London that I got nothing else to show because I'm doing the same thing like everybody else is doing. So I started creating theatrical concepts around this so I can differentiate myself. But that was not scalable. It took a lot of time and I didn't really enjoy it. And then I met this amazing person that changed my life. His name is Yossi Sassi from the band Orphan Land. They are from Israel.
I've played with Orphan Land. My band.
Yes, you played with Orphan Land. Yeah. So Yossi that created the Musicitara that unique guitar that is a bouzouki and a guitar on the same body. He advised me. He started following my mailing list, and we started talking. And I was a fan of the band, so I was pinching myself, like, is the co-founder actually following me? And we're Skyping right now.
Fantastic.
But he came to London, and we had a Musicpreneur talk with him, and he talked about roots and passion. Mm-hmm. And what he advised me personally is that, hey, Tommy, you've got something that other people don't. It's your heritage. You are from Greece, but there's nothing of your Greekness in the music. And this can help you stand out, just like we did. We added Oriental elements and structures and melodies in our metal music. And we started growing. Now we're 30 years in, and we're making a full-time living with music because of that. So that's like your hook, something that you penetrate the whole music ecosystem with. And I was thinking, how can I use my own heritage to add it to my post-punk, new wave type, synth pop type of music? And I started experimenting. So I went out for 6 months in Greece with a camera crew, following every step. And eventually I started interviewing people, visiting locations, checking out traditions, jamming with other musicians. And then I spent 1 year in London composing music. And now we've recorded the first track. We got validation. We talked to the UK audience, and we realized that they think of it as UK post-punk with an exotic flavor to it, which is what I wanted. I didn't want to be arabesque music with some pop elements. I want to be something familiar with a twist. UK, Depeche Mode, Joy Division type of music with a twist, which is my heritage. And you know what? It seems to work great. So now we're recording the album once we got the validation. And then my goal for the whole thing to end like a circle is to get #1 on the charts on Christmas in the UK, which is very ambitious. But you know what? Why not? I'm turning 30 in November. Why not be #1 in December? And I'm going to go for #1 with no compromise. I might end up in the Billboard 100 or something like that, but that's still fine. I'm going for #1. And that's great because it's a mission. It's a direction. At least I have a direction. It's not a generic thing.
Totally.
There is something that has restrictions. So long story short, that I would tell them my story. I would tell this beautiful man with amazing, catchy music. I would tell them, what is your identity in this? Yep. What makes it you? Why can't you be replaced? If you are just another person, generic, that can be replaced by anyone else, you're just another gear in a whole system, and you're not really needed. You're a product. So what makes it you?
Yep.
Why can't you be replaced?
Cool. Well, look, I'm sorry to put you on the spot like that, because it was a tough question. But and yeah, Orphan Land. I read about Orphan Land on your website. So yeah, I like that, because we played with them in Holland once on a couple of years ago on a tour we did. So yeah, and I love that band as well. But I'll just tell you what I'm doing with him, though. I'm going back to what you said about the network, because I believe in him, and I like his stuff. You know, it's pop music, but I'm leveraging my network. So I'm sending it to the managers that I know, and the booking agents I know, and the synchronization agents that I know, and the people that are running labels, and I'm putting it out there. So I'm trying to, I guess, just leverage off my own personal network, which is not rocket science or anything, but that's what I think I can bring him. And so yes, I'll keep you posted on how that goes.
Send me the track, actually. I'm really curious to see how catchy this is.
I will. In fact, I think we've got an upcoming podcast with a friend of mine who's an aggregator, and she's also a digital marketing expert. So I'm hoping that I can get her to give basically a plan and see how that unfolds. So stay tuned for that. But anyhow, Tommy, right. You are an entrepreneur, which means ultimately you're selling something, and you've got this cool thing coming up, which sounds very, very interesting. And the title's a big hook. It's called How to Make a Profit Performing Live in 100 Days. Great title.
Yep.
It's happening on August 26th, UK time. So potentially that could be, you'll have to check the times for my Australian audiences if you want to check it out. You tell us about it, Tommy. I've got all the information here, but let's hear it from you. What's it all about?
Yeah. So this might be the 27th of August, early in the morning for the Australian audience. That will be the 26th, early in the morning for the US audience, and that will be afternoon for the UK and Europe audience. Mm-hmm. Yeah, we had to sacrifice a part of the world. I'm sorry about this. We cannot be okay with everybody on this if we have one masterclass. But yeah, this is the first product we're launching. So this is a methodology that I've been using with so many other people that I've been consulting in terms of helping them achieve a goal in 100 days.
Yep.
And it's great because this methodology has worked in terms of creating your first piece of clothing for somebody starting fashion, for writing your first book, for somebody just procrastinating, writing blog posts every now and then, for getting a viral video on YouTube from somebody that has tons of music unreleased, but you cannot make it happen or put it out there, from actually releasing a new track every week, for somebody that just is so much a perfectionist that this is becoming a problem. And myself, including myself, it's validating the music and releasing my new album on the music that I talked a few minutes ago. So in general, this works in various industries for creative people. And what we are doing right now is releasing it as a product. And we're getting started with something very popular, which is live performances. So essentially, all the series of masterclasses and 100-day challenges that we will release in the future, they're all going to be angled towards the commercial side of art and also how to achieve something in 100 days. And we're getting started with it. How to make profit performing live in 100 days.
And no, it's great. And you're running it with a woman named Gabby Huckins, I think that's how you pronounce it, who works at Universal, and she's working with the licensing with the Rolling Stones and Black Sabbath. So she's your expert in hosting this event, is that correct?
Exactly. And she also has her own touring and management company. So she's experienced in the UK. So this is the interesting thing. We're launching the 26th of August, this live streamed masterclass from London. You can watch the recording if you cannot attend on the day. But the important part is not this masterclass. As I said before, knowledge can be found by Googling something.
Sure.
This is not what we're offering as an educational company. We're offering the 100-day challenge. It's a place where you have no excuses to let things slip away from you. You will be accountable to somebody that is going to check day and night what you're doing. They will connect you with the right people if they see that you're struggling, or they will connect your questions with somebody. There's going to be a Facebook community for the people that are doing something similar with you in the same time period. And also there's going to be mentors, people like you. Actually, you will be a mentor in this program. Yeah. And they will giving you guidance on how to get things happen, because you have done things, you are doing things, and you are a few steps ahead of everybody else. So this way, by having accountability, somebody checking day and night what you're doing, you minimize your chances of having excuses and lying to yourself. So you just need to get the work done. Number two, you will have community and support. There's going to be other people like you with the same mission around the same subject, live performances, in the same time frame, and they will all motivate each other. And then you have support by mentors, people that have been there before, people that can give you actionable advice, and they know things inside out, that are going to give you specific advice on your problems and answer your questions. So we put this as a framework, and you know what? This is the first official product we're launching, but because I've done this before in smaller scale with the same methodology, I can pledge that this is going to work. And I know that in the future, we're not going to try to market it by getting people to talk about it or send email newsletters or advertisements on Facebook. How people will market it is through word of mouth. They will say that, oh my gosh, you know how many people actually get tangible results in 100 days with this program? I'm going to go fucking pay the money and get started with this because I want to make a change in my career. And here we are. We're talking about this August 2017. Whenever you're listening, I can pledge that there's going to be something out there with terrific results and you will want to be a part of.
Awesome. All right, Tommy, well, that all sounds incredible. I'm really looking forward to experiencing it. It's something that's new to me. I haven't done like a live one like this. I've gone to lots of lectures and masterclasses and stuff, but to be able to attend a live one in the UK is going to be fantastic. For anybody who's interested, I do encourage you to go and check it out, people. So if you go to www.musicpreneur.live, and for those of you who are trouble with spelling, that's music, Preneur, musicpreneur.live. And if you put in the coupon code MBF20, you'll also get a discount for being a Music Business Facts listener. So that's right, Tommy, is that correct? I got that right?
Yes, that's correct. And I'm looking forward to having some amazing people from Australia jumping on board and getting amazing things happen in 100 days.
Awesome, mate. Now it sounds like a really great project. I'm really looking forward to seeing how it pans out, and also listening to Gabby Huckins from Universal do her thing. Listen, Tommy, we've hit about an hour here, mate. It's been an absolute pleasure talking with you. I've really enjoyed it. Before we wrap it up, is there anything that I didn't ask you that you would like to get out to my listeners, or anything else you think I should have asked you?
That's always a tough question because there's so many things we can potentially talk about.
Yes.
But for now, I think there's enough information. We've talked about a lot of interesting things, and I hope your listeners enjoy this. I totally had a blast. I really enjoyed it, and your questions were really interesting for me. So I hope that was equally interesting for the audience, and thanks for inviting me.
No, look, absolutely, Tommy. And like I said, people, go and check out tommydarker.com and download all that really cool free stuff. And if you are interested in investing in your education, go and check out musicpreneur.live, and MBF20 is the code that is going to give you a discount from Music Business Facts listeners. Tommy, you're just about to go and have lunch. I'm just about to go to bed. Great to speak to you, mate, and I really look forward to talking to you very, very soon, mate. All the best.
Cheers, all the best.
Cheers, mate. Thanks for being a great guest. Bye. So there you go, guys. I hope you learnt something from my talk with Tommy. And again, if you are interested in hearing Tommy present his How to Make a Profit Performing Live in 100 Days, he'll be hosting that presentation with Gabby Huckins, who, remember, is a licensing expert who looks after the catalogues of cool artists like the Rolling Stones and Black Sabbath. So that's going to be very cool indeed. Very high-level information, and I'm very excited, very looking forward to attending that. And if it is something that you'd like to go and check out, then head over to Musicpreneur Live /MBF. That's Musicpreneur, Preneur, live /MBF. And if you enter in the code MBF20, you'll actually receive a $20 discount off the price for being a Music Business Facts listener. So that's very, very cool. And don't forget, it's not just going to be a masterclass, it's also going to be a 100-day challenge. So there, if you join, you'll be forced to identify revenue streams for your live performances. You'll be drafting a mini tour plan. You'll be putting together a strategy for actually making a profit from performing. So it'll all be backed up with feedback from the instructor, and you'll also receive an accountability partner, which obviously is very important. And in fact, I'm going to be one of those partners. So I think it's a really interesting idea. I think it's going to educate you and motivate you to getting closer to your goals of undertaking a profitable live performance or tour, all within 100 days. So it sounds very interesting. And look, yes, it is a paid course. The packages start at around $97 to attend. But as Tommy and I discussed in this podcast, look, music education is expensive. Education in general is expensive, especially here in Australia. But if you do want to learn from industry experts and you would like some professional accountability to hold you towards implementing the goals that you're going to set, then I really do think it's a minimal investment. And I do think if you're serious about your career, you should be prepared to back yourself and invest in your own education. So once again, musicpreneur.live /MBF. The checkout code is MBF20 to receive $20 off the price. Anyway, guys, as always, all of the information is over at my show notes at musicbusinessfacts.com, and you can also always get in touch with me at facebook.com/musicbusinessfacts. And I genuinely love hearing from people who listen to the show, so feel free to pop over and say g'day. This podcast, as always, again, is free, and if you'd like to support me in any way, shape or form, you can show your appreciation over at paypal.me/musicbusinessfacts. And people, if you're ever undertaking any venture where you're trying to provide value to people's lives, then I do encourage you to set up a free paypal.me account, because that enables your superfans then to support you financially if they desire. And as Amanda Palmer once discussed in her awesome TED Talk, you shouldn't ask people to pay, but you should always give people you should always give people ways to pay if they've received enough value and they want to. And by the way, thanks to everybody who's ever contributed to the show. It really is quite amazing in those times where you're walking around and you get that little buzz in your pocket and you check your email and someone's donated to you. So thanks to everyone that's ever contributed. Anyhow, it's great to be back, and I really look forward to talking to you all again soon and bringing you, excuse me, I've got a bit of a cold today, bringing you lots and lots of value. I've got some great episodes coming up. I've got some great content coming up, and I really do appreciate you guys listening to me. It's absolutely amazing. And I'll talk to you again very soon. Have a great day, have a great week, and wherever you are in the world, look after yourself. This is Rodney Holder signing off for musicbusinessfacts.com.
You've been listening to the Music Business Facts podcast. For more essential music business tips and information, visit musicbusinessfacts.com.